In this episode, we continue our progress through modern industrialization, creating a coke oven and turning the creosote into lubricant for the cutting machine. We do the cheesy silicon method and work our way through chromium and manganese to make the bees and get everything needed for stainless steel and Kanthal. Hey there, welcome back. Today we are going to continue our journey through modern industrialization. And hopefully we can get stainless steel by the end of the episode today. I'm not sure how much time we'll have and how this episode will plan out, so we'll see. But before we do that, I wanted to add a couple of upgrades to this setup. One, let's go ahead and put a terminal here so we can view everything that's in our storage controller separate from our system. It is linked to our system, like we have all of the wires, for example, showing up in our system. But you can see like copper nickel wire, we have 16,000. So that means I probably put 2 of them in here. And that's why there is that. So sometimes it's a little hard to know what you have in here. And we can kind of remedy that situation if we put a terminal over here. So we will need another storage bus so that terminal can basically see what is there. And we'll go ahead and grab a cable. And I guess just for funsies, we can do pink. So we're going to put that there for the storage bus. And this needs to connect to that, but we need to subnet it. That way it doesn't, because right now, let's grab a terminal. Right, I'll show this to you. You guys are familiar with applied energistics. This should be common knowledge. But when we look in here, you can see that everything in our system, but we only want to see what's in the storage bus inside of the controller. And if we disconnect these 2 networks with the quartz fiber, it's only going to show us what's in there. So now we can easily check to see what's in here and see it all in one organized terminal. And it's going to make it easier to kind of keep things in check. And we just need to grab some facades, which we don't have. Oh, we do here. And we can cover that up like that. And now we can just look through here and see everything. I'm going to have to add more things in here, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The first thing I want to do, so let's kind of talk about the plan. If we want to get, my goal is to get the electric blast furnace from modern industrialization. And you can see I want to get the Kanthal tier 1. Kanthal requires Kanthal ingots, obviously. And the way you make that, so you're going to need a vacuum freezer to cool down the hot cable. So let's put a pin in that. We're going to need a vacuum freezer. And then we'll also need Kanthal dust, which comes from a mixer. And you can see that requires stainless steel dust. So step 1 is stainless steel before we can get Kanthal. And we also need a vacuum freezer. And the vacuum freezer is going to need these diodes and stuff, which use silicon plates. So let's start from there because we will need silicon for a bunch of other stuff moving forward in modern industrialization. And I'm sure you guys probably already know of the silicon bypass. Like to make silicon in modern industrialization is kind of a journey. Let's take a look. Silicon dust. I guess it's not too bad, but you just need a electric blast furnace with crushed quartz dust and coke dust or carbon dust. And then you can make silicon dust that way. We can bypass that by making the silicon ingots directly by using the unpacker and unpacking normal kind of. So we can use the silicon we have from Extended A and unpack it and we'll get the ingots and then we can do whatever. So we need an electric unpacker. And let's, I think just, I don't know, maybe 1 will be enough, maybe 2. Let's make 2. And we can just plop that down over here. And we'll need to store silicon inside of our interface over here. We just want a normal block of silicon. I went ahead and made bees for silicon. So we're getting them, and I have them being put inside of the what is this thing? The bulk storage thing. So they're getting compressed automatically. All right, now we need to power this machine and put the silicon in there, and it's going to unpack it for us. And let's just save the recipe. So if we go ahead and press this and go to the unpacker, we can actually fill the recipe in, and it's going to fill that in. But you can see this is the wrong kind of silicone. So we're gonna unlock it, put the right kind of silicone in there, and then it's going to be locked again. So now it's going to make that, and we don't have to worry about other things going in there. I mean, we're going to be filtering with Super Factory Manager anyways, so it's not a huge deal, but let's go ahead and edit our code. And something to note, in the previous episode, in our alloy smelter, I was picking up from the alloy smelter and putting those ingots into the interface, and I changed that to the controller, so we can have a limit on those. And that was the copper, nickel, and battery alloy. So if you take a look at like that, I have 37,000 ingots instead of only having 8,000, just because I was inserting into the interface and it was going into my cells rather than the drive, the drawers. So that has been fixed, and this updated code will be in the description below this video, as always. Okay, back on track. We need to add the unpacker over here. So we'll just add it there, and we are going to scroll down and add it here. And we can have any number of Super Factory Manager controllers on these cables. So I'm not going to do everything from one controller. We'll kind of divide things up later on, but like when we set up the blast furnace and stuff. Anyways. This will be our code. I just have to make sure this is called silicon block. That's correct. And we're just picking that up from the interface, putting in the unpacker, just inputs and outputs, simple stuff. We do need to label it. So let's go ahead and grab our label gun and label the unpacker. And this should start working. Yep. So here we go. We're making silicon ingots, and we just need to put that in here. And that is all set up. And this looks like it's relatively quick just because it's 9 times the amount that we're getting from each one. And the efficiency is still pretty low. So it's going to be faster and faster. So it should theoretically keep up. Now let's make the plates, which will happen in another compressor. So let's grab a compressor. I haven't made crafting recipes for those yet. So we'll need one for that. And we also want silicon dust, and that comes from a macerator. So let's make an electric macerator. We just need, whoops. So there's our compressor and macerator for silicon, which we can add. Actually, let's put this one somewhere else. The compressor we can put over here. Add a fancy cable. And which one's this compressor? So it's the plate. And we can do the same thing. So it's going to lock the recipe in there. And let's move this down to 16 and 16. We'll leave this at 64. So that's going to start working. Let's take a look at our compressor part. So we're inputting ingot, diamond, emerald, and I think this one should be just ingot. Yeah, so that'll work. We just have to label the compressor. We're picking that up from the interface because those things are over there, but we also need to do it from the controller. So I will add that as well. And that's going to be the battery alloy and all those things. Now you can see this is kicked on. We're making plates, and all we have to do is put the plates in here. And that's going to start adding up. So these guys are working. And you can see all these other ones have stopped producing things because they are full inside of the drawers. All right, and then the macerator we can just put over here and add a thing. What was the macerator? An ingot to dust. This recipe. Perfect. And we'll go down to 16 for that as well. And let's add that to our code. Same exact situation. Pick up from controller, put in the macerator, and move it back. Just gotta label it. And I think I forgot to give those guys power. Yep, so let's go ahead and do that. And now we are getting silicon dust. So let's store those guys over there. Perfect. We are chugging along. So silicon is taken care of, and we're getting the plates as well from up here. That means now we can make those things for the vacuum. All of these things. We have all the resources for these now, the diodes and the transistors as well. Analog circuits we're getting from our guys. This thing is easy. It's copper plates with the rubber sheets we're getting from our villagers as well. So we should have all the things needed now, I believe. Except these advanced machine casings, which is just aluminum. Basic machine hull is aluminum. So that gives us that. We do need silicon batteries, which we also have the ability to make now. And I'll just set up crafting patterns for these guys. Electronic circuits, and the large plates is just 4 of those. Very easy. Large pump, we can make the circuits now. The rotors are easy. Pumps we can make as well, and then the large motor we can also make. So we have everything for a vacuum freezer now. I just have to set up the crafting patterns for it. So let's take a look at moving towards stainless steel. This is going to be a big thing that we're going to need. And we'll have to set up passive crafting for these because there's no bees or stuff for it. So the way you get stainless steel, you need the dust first, and that comes from a mixer. And the main things we're going to need from this recipe is the chromium dust and the manganese dust. The chromium will be a little bit easier because we can crush down chromium ingots, and those come from chromium nuggets, which we can just do by using a centrifuge and putting in lava. And it's going to give us 25% chance to get a nugget. Once we have that set up, we can actually make chromium bees. So we are going to do that, and then we don't have to worry about chromium anymore. So let's start with that guy. We're going to need a centrifuge and all these things. But we have the ability to make this now. So let me make some crafting patterns. Guys, tragedy has struck. You can see when we want to make the centrifuge, let's say 10 of them. How about 5? It looks like I have the wrong... We should have steel plates. We do. Let's see. Maybe I have the wrong thing in the recipe. It's the one from all the ores. Why is it missing those guys? Some stuff in my thing doesn't look like it's shown up. I wonder if the stuff from all the ores is not shown up with this storage bus. Let's convert that to a normal storage bus just to confirm. And we will set the priority a little bit higher on this guy. All right, now. Aha, that works. Okay. So tin bolts are easy. We can craft them. Remember, we don't have the cutting machine because that requires lubricant to run, and we don't have lubricant yet. So we need the tin bolts and aluminum bolts. Tin bolt Not so bad. We can just bulk craft a bunch of them inside of the forge hammer, but the aluminum bolt, you cannot. You have literally the only way you can make it is the cutting machine. So it looks like we're going to have to do a little offshoot and make lubricant anyways. And there are a couple of ways we can do that. I don't have naphtha yet. We don't want to deal with this. So it looks like our only option is to use the mixer, and we can do with creosote or plant oil. I am thinking of doing it with creosote. The plant oil one requires a centrifuge, which we can't make because we're trying to make the things. So our only option is creosote. So let's set up a coke oven, which we need to make this thing. And this will be our first multi-block in modern industrialization. Let's make the wrench as well and see what we need to do to set this guy up. I'll set it up over here. And I have more inventory cables set down over here. If I show you with the network tool, you can see both sides are lined with it and they're connected over here. So everything is connected. We can set down machines and managers anywhere in this room along the edges, and we can just use Super Factory Manager. So that's going to be nice and convenient. All right, enough talking. Let's set this guy up. And if you hold, you can see it's underground. So we need to move it one block higher. And the blocks on the sides is just brick by the looks of it. So let's grab some brick blocks. And we can put down like that and put the coke oven over here. So we do need one in the middle. You can just put this in your offhand and it'll show you where all those things are. And then we'll have to break a couple of them for hatchets. So here we have a coke oven. It is valid, but we're going to need hatches, of course. And in order to make this coke oven work, we're going to need all the input hatches. So, and the output hatches too. Let's get rid of all these things. Modern industrialization hatches, and we can just make the steel ones, and that'll make it a steel tier, I believe. Maybe it doesn't matter for this guy. So we will need a fluid input hatch to put steam in there. We will need a fluid output hatch to take the creosote out. We will need a input item hatch to put the coal in, and an item output hatch to put the steel output hatch to take out the coke from there. And if you hold these items in your hand, you will see that you can put it in any of the green slots, so on the top or the bottom. We could do it in the back here. So we'll go, and I don't think, oh, it can be in the center. So we will do that. Let me shrink myself. I think it can be over there. Yeah, so we will put our item output hatch. Oh, it doesn't matter. Just put them all down like this. Okay, so now this guy is made and we just have to make it work. So we have steam here already, and we also have coal, and those are the only two things we need, right? Let's do another manager over here that's going to handle this guy. So I'm going to try labeling all of the hatches as coke oven, and hopefully if we just filter the items that we're picking up, it's going to work okay. So let's give that a shot. So we are pulling the labels. Here's the interface. There's the controller, and the coke oven is going to be 1, 2, 3, and this hatch in the middle. And this guy's working. Perfect. So it looks like those guys are working. Coal is in there in the input hatch. And steam's going. And we already have Coke. Perfect. So that is working. We just have to put some fluid drawers over here. Actually, the Coke can go now. Let's try that. Let's try this, and I forget already how we made our thing. It was brick and concrete. Yes. And I was thinking maybe on this side we can put our fluid drawers. And we are going to need some upgrades. You can make these smithing template patterns also. Or a smithing table patterns. And you just put those guys in your assembler matrix. Easy peasy. So now if we want some netherite upgrades, we should be able to make those, like 20 of them. I don't have diamond upgrades automated. Interesting. I still haven't gone back to fix all those broken patterns, but now these guys should be able to hold a ton of stuff. Let's grab a bucket of creosote from... Can we do that? Yes. And if we can put that in there. Very nice. And let's grab our configuration tool, grab our locking tool. First, we're going to lock all 4 of those. And this guy, you can see they're out of range. So we'll have to add some upgrades to our controller. I think 1 upgrade should be enough. How far does that take it? Looks like a far, all the way to this whole room. Nice. We are on add. Those guys are now added. So we should have creosote going in there. All right, so that is going. You can gunpowder to make this a bit faster. I think by just right-clicking on it, it's using it. Oh yeah, it's overclocked for an hour. Let's see what else we need for lubricant. Aha, redstone and creosote in a mixer. So let's go to make an electric mixer. We will put the electric mixer over here. I'm going to reorganize this later once I have an idea of kind of how I want to do it, because right now it's like we can have this much more concise, compressed down. Maybe we'll have the most compact modern industrialization setup. That would be cool. But let's go ahead and do this guy. We do want to make lubricant, which will be this recipe. So we have creosote, so it's going to lock everything. Let's keep these guys to 16, and it requires 500 millibuckets of creosote per redstone, and we're going to keep 16 in there. So what is times 16, 500 millibuckets? That'll give us 8,000 millibuckets. So can I... No, I can't change the creosote level. That's fine. So let's go ahead and add mixer over here. All right, so here we go. We're going to grab the creosote from the controller, redstone from the interface, and then we're going to put the lubricant back into the controller, which we'll have to set up. And our mixer will also need power. I forgot to do that. Let's... All right, so creosote's in there. We need to stock redstone over here. So this is now making lubricant very quickly. Let's grab a bucket. I wish there was a way you could use JEI to like drag and drop in here. Does that work? Let's see. No, maybe because it's blocked. Does this only store 2,000 buckets? We could add more. I guess 2,000 buckets is a good amount. Anyways, we have lubricant. And now we need the, whatever we're working on, the aluminum bolt, which requires the cutting machine. So let's make an electric cutting machine. We'll make a bunch of these because we're going to need all the things. By bunch, I mean 2 for now. And this one we will do aluminum. One of the things that's been really inconvenient is when you're looking through, like I like to look at the machine to see all the recipes that are available for the cutting machine. But because modern, like a lot of their machines, like it has 800 pages. This is 864 times 4 amount of recipes. It's like 3,500 recipes just for this. So that makes it kind of difficult. But I think the only things you really need, if you take a look at the cutting machine, we have ingots going in there and rods. So I'm trying to set up some code that will be somewhat universal for the cutting machine. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here it is. We're taking ingots and rods from the controller, putting those to the cutting machine. We are going to retain 2,000 lubricant to each of them. And then we're going to take the things and put them in the controller. I am also going to add interface over here because that's where our aluminum is. So that should work. Let's add power to the cutting machine and label that guy. Let's not label this one yet. We need aluminum rod, which we don't have. I mean, we do have over here. We have a bunch inside of our, this guy. If I take it out and put it back in, does it go in here? It does. So now we should be getting those, and then we can take the bolts and put those guys in there, and they'll be going in there. And then for this top one, let's do this recipe in the cutting machine. So now that is set up, and we can label it. So this guy should start going. Let's move that to 16. So now the aluminum rods will be going in here as well. Yes. Okay. That means now we can make the thing we were trying to make, which was the vacuum freezer, I think. No. Centrifuge. That's what we wanted. Let's make 2. And we can put those guys over here for now. No rhyme or reason whatsoever. Random machines everywhere. These guys are getting steam. Why was our steam going into this one? No, I don't want that. I'll just break this steam machine. We don't need it. You don't need that many steam, that much steam. All right. These guys need lava, so we can get the things. And let's grab a trash can, because I'm going to trash. We can just put a trash can over there and trash whatever we want. Let's grab lava. Bucket of lava. And we can store 64 buckets of that in there. And the centrifuge, we wanted the chromium dust ingots. So we're going to lock that exact recipe in there for both of these guys. Oh, this makes it so much easier to like be able to lock it before you do anything. And what's going on over here? Let's erase that label. So we are going to power So we are going to take lava from the interface, and we're going to keep 4 buckets in each of these centrifuges. And then we're going to pick up all the items from there, and the chromium nuggets we'll put in the interface, because I only need this to run for a little bit until we get enough to make the bee. So I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then we'll you know, get rid of this. And then all the other stuff we're getting, I'm just going to trash it. So all the other items will get trashed. Let me just make sure chromium nugget, that's correct. And let's label these things. Centrifuge, centrifuges, and trash. Working like a charm. We can time wand this bad boy. Oh, we're getting chromium nuggets now. All right, let's take a look at the Chromium Bee. We need the spawn egg, which goes in the centrifuge, and we need a ruby spawn eggs. Rubies. How do we make rubies? Ruby block, diamond bee. So let's go ahead and, so we're going to need 2 chromium bees to be able to breed together to make more. And that's going to need 16 rubies. So we're going to need, I'm sorry, 12. I can't do basic math. We're going to need 12 rubies for that, and which means 12 diamond bees. So let's grab some cages. And then I'm going to keep 2 rubies also to be able to breed them. Wait, no, that's wrong, because this is not. We only need 2 rubies because we can breed them together. By the way, in anticipation for this, I went to the mining dimension and I set down a quarry in here to get some of these things. So as you can see, we are getting things like tungsten. That'll be nice. Things like titanium. So we're going to use these for modern industrialization, because I had never done this. I just started with, because when I started this series, this has been the longest going All the Mods 10 series. I think that I know of. It's been going on for months and months. But anyways, we're also getting rubies from here, because what I was saying is when I started doing this series, the builder wasn't in here yet, so there's no way to quarry. Mystical agriculture wasn't even a thing, really. So I had to start with bees. But that means I didn't have any of like all of these resources. So those are our rubies. And we'll need 3 of these guys at least. And we'll make some ruby bees. Ruby bee. It's over here. I haven't messed around with my bees for a while. Let's go ahead and make some more diamond bees. Can I? Ah, nice. So here are our rubies, and we're going to need to crush down a bunch of these guys. How about we make 32 of them? We'll have 32 rubies that we can get their genes and then make the spawn eggs. That should be all the guys. This guy is just barely out of range. When I made this room, I didn't realize that the range upgrade for this doesn't cover this last row. So we need this bee to come towards the center, and it's going to get picked up. All right, let's go ahead and crush down all these guys, and hopefully that's enough. And we can put them in here. Let's make sure this guy needs bottles. Bottles. And crush all of them. These are all rubies, right? Let's keep 2 rubies. Or do we already have them here? I think we already have them here. Yes, we do. This is very annoying. If you're wondering why I keep placing torches down in random places, is because I tried to re-roll my Paxel and I ruined it. And now this tool can place a torch at the cost of 5 durability. So I keep clicking it in places and doing that. Did you run out? What? Hey. Hey. So here is our ruby. We have 5 already. We're gonna need 12 of these guys. Is not gonna be enough. We need more. So if we take a look at the Chromium Bee, this guy, he requires a block of chromium for the flowering thing, which means we're gonna need, just a little bit more chromium ingots. And then we'll have enough. You don't actually need any chromium to make the bees, but you do need chromium for the bees to work. So there's our 12 gene samples that we mix with honey treats. And we get 12 ruby treats. We need eggs. And we do this. All right, now we take our rubies and we put them in the centrifuge. Let's see if we have enough. No, we don't. Time wand. On time wand. Let's change the lava to 16,000. Perfect. We got our chromium, and now we can remove these guys. Just kidding, let's not remove them. Let's change the code because we do want to power them still. I just want to comment out all of these lines. Let's just do that for now. All right, rubies go in there. Now we have 2 chromium bees. Now we get treats with 100% stuff and cages. There is our chromium boy. Now we get to breed these guys together. And we're going to want 5. I like to always have 2 extra on hand for breeding purposes, so I don't have to grab them back from the hives. So there's 5 of those guys growing. And we have all the chromium we could ever want. Ooh, that gives tiny dust. Okay. Chromium tiny dust. We're gonna compact. So we're getting chromium dust. And the chromium dust. So that was the easy part of getting stainless steel, was the chromium. Because if you looked at that, if we press U on this guy. So if we put, here's stainless steel dust. That is iron dust, nickel dust, easy. We'll just use mechanism for that, to the crushers for mechanism. And then we have the chromium dust being made by our bees. And now we need the manganese dust. And the manganese dust also comes from the tiny dust. And there's bees for that as well. So I'm going to make the manganese bee. But this one is a little bit more complicated because it comes from the electrolyzer and we need to make manganese sulfuric solution. Which requires these crushed manganese dust. That's just centrifuging raw iron. For now, we can grab the raw iron from our builder. That's coring inside the mining dimension. And then I won't really need that anymore. But let's take a look at manganese. So to get the crushed dust, that's just the raw iron, right? So then we get these manganese crushed dust. Then we need to put that inside of a chemical reactor with sulfuric acid. And the sulfuric acid comes from another chemical reactor. So we're going to put sulfur and then oxygen and water. And oxygen, we want to use an electrolyzer and put water inside of there. And it's going to give us hydrogen and oxygen. And we're going to store those inside of here because we'll use hydrogen and oxygen later on also. So let's go ahead and make the chemical reactor. And hopefully we can make that. Yes, yes. And then we wanted the electrolyzer. Yes, yes. We can make that as well. Okay, let's set these guys up over here. So first off, we're going to start with the electrolyzer that's going to do water and give us hydrogen and oxygen. So here's this recipe. And then we're going to use the chemical reactor to give us this recipe for sulfuric acid. So that's locked in also. So let's store sulfur over here. We're going to need another interface. And water is in here already. Yes, water's here. I'm going to use another manager, I think, for this one as well. So we'll put this guy over here. So starting with power, we get that from the interface. We put in the chemical reactor and the electrolyzer. We're going to do the water inside of the chemical reactor. And then we're going to pick up fluids from the chemical reactor, output to controller. I know it says chemical reactor, but modern industrialization doesn't actually handle chemicals. So everything is just fluids and everything is just fluids and
That's the wrong manager.
So that's nice because it works easily with storage drawers and we know what to do. We also need sulfur, right? Why is this? Did I not push it? All right, so water's in there. I did the wrong recipe. Whoops. So this guy's going. Let's speed it up. It's given us hydrogen and oxygen. So here's the problem. This machine makes twice as many hydrogen as it does oxygen. And I want to figure out a good way to basically do what the electrolytic separator from Mechanism does, where it voids the overflow, where if both of them are full, the machine will stop running. But if one of them is full, it won't prevent the other one from being made. We can do that simply with Superfactory Manager by just outputting the fluid to the controller, and then we output whatever doesn't go into the controller to a trash can. So this will void the extra stuff. So if one of our fluid drawers fills up, the other one will still continue to be made. But then this machine will always run and it's never going to stop. Even if both of them are full, it's just going to trash the rest. So I'm still thinking of a solution where we can kind of make that happen a little bit better, but until then, we'll see. So let's grab these guys. So we have hydrogen and oxygen. That will go in there. So both hydrogen and oxygen is taken care of now with this guy. And we'll let that go. Okay, now the electrolyzer needs water and oxygen and sulfur. So from here, Here's trash. We are also going to do, so this is, oh man, I said electrolyzer. Electrolyzer. Let's fix that. All right, here we go. We are picking up the sulfur, water, and oxygen from the interface in the controller. We're going to output the item and the fluid to the chemical reactor, and that's going to make sulfuric acid, I believe. And then we're going to take that sulfuric acid from the reactor, put it in the controller. So let's submit that. There we go. This is now being made. We're going to go down to 16 of those guys. We need a bucket to set the filter on this. And sulfuric acid will go over here. Then we take the sulfuric acid and we need the manganese crush dust to get manganese sulfuric thing. That's another chemical reactor. So here's our other chemical reactor. And that is going to make manganese sulfuric solution. So we have this sulfuric acid done. We just need that crush dust. So in this case, we're going to put the raw iron in the centrifuge, and then we're going to take the manganese dust, put it inside of the controller, and then the rest, the iron dust, will just trash. Oh no, I messed up big time. I pushed the labels from this manager into this manager. So that was a mistake. So now it only has those things. Oh, God damn it. I'm going to reset, clear this guy, and push the labels in. So now when I pull it, this manager has no labels. So we have all of these that we need to reset again. So here are the wire mills. All right, we're back. It is going in here. Oh my God, this is so slow. Let's lock these recipes and speed these guys up. I am trashing manganese dust because it's not in the filter over there. All right, so now we have the crushed manganese dust, and we need to put that inside of a chemical reactor with the sulfuric acid, and we'll get manganese sulfuric solution. What did I just say? This guy. Alrighty, so the manganese crushed dust and the sulfuric acid is going to get picked up from the controller, put into the chemical reactor, and then we're going to pick up the fluid, which should be whatever this thing is, manganese sulfuric solution, and that's going to go into the controller. So that looks good. We just need to do middle click, shift middle click, control middle click. Not connected by cables. That would make sense. There we go. Down to 16. So now we're getting the manganese stuff. Let's grab a bucket for that. All right, and then just the last step is to put that in an electrolyzer, and we're going to get the tiny manganese dust. So let's go to make another electrolyzer. And this one will be manganese tiny dust from the electrolyzer. Lock in the recipe. And since we locked the recipe in the electrolyzer, we can just pick up all the fluids and output it to electrolyzer, and only the one that we need will go in there. So we don't have to write out the whatever sulfuric solution thing, manganese sulfuric solution. And then that's going to give us the tiny dust that we're going to put into the interface temporarily until we make the bees for it. So there is that electrolyzer. And that is our manganese tiny dust. Now, the manganese bees are just iron bees. Iron bee spawn eggs. So let's go ahead and grab those guys also. And the bees require 1 manganese dust, which is that. So that is all the manganese we need. So I'm just going to remove the disc from there, and these guys will all come to a stop. Some time ago, you used to be able to use any % honey treat, any % bee-type honey treat to be able to make that. Like, you could have a 1% and it would have a 100% chance of working. They did patch that up a few months ago, so now you have to make sure that it is 100%. Otherwise, there's a chance for it to fail. Let's find the centrifuge. We're gonna do that. No. No way did I just do that. Did I just really do that? I just trashed my bees. Oh, my little brain. Okay, this time we're going to comment out this line that ruins our day. And we can do this. And oops. Ah! I'm not frustrated at all at that torch thing. And I'm probably not going to do anything about it for a long time. I'm just going to scream in agony every time it happens. And man, we are getting deranged. Let's feed those guys treats. I need some cages. Come on, pups. We're almost done. I don't think we're gonna... I mean, we basically have everything for stainless steel as well as Canthal. Well, I guess just a vacuum freezer that we need to build, but let's go to make these bees and we'll call it a day. All right, there's the dust. Here are our bees. Let's speed it up a bit just so we can make sure it's set up. Now we're getting manganese tiny dust, which we will also compress to manganese dust, and we are going to put that in our bulk storage, or not bulk, this guy, the 256 cell. Oh my god. I'm going to explode this thing, this pickaxe, axle. All right, chromium done, manganese done. Thank you, bees. Bees make it much easier for this. It may or may not be a problem for our no bee series, but we'll figure it out. All right, so we already have almost 1200 chromium dust. Our manganese dust is also going up there. We have 900. That means we have everything ready for stainless steel dust. All we have to do is put that in a mixer with nickel and iron dust, which we can use mechanism to crush because those guys are unified. So that'll give us the stainless steel dust, which will also give us the Canthal dust in another mixer with aluminum dust. And then we can come back and make the vacuum freezer so we can cool it down and get Canthal ingots, which will give us Canthal wire, which will give us, or is it these guys? Canthal cables, which we can use inside of an assembler. Actually, we can do this too. Get the canthal coil for the canthal tier electric blast furnace in the next episode. I'm tired. I want to end this episode here. So in between episodes, I'm going to set up the rest of our cutting machines for all the things we need and organize this a bit because this was temporary. We don't need these guys anymore. So I'm going to pick those guys up as well as the centrifuges. And we will think about maybe organizing this room a little bit better. But anyways, that's enough for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.